Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto.
In a world on the brink of disruption, two men will bring you clarity by interviewing some of the most intelligent and influential names in the blockchain world. Welcome to Show Me the Crypto with your hosts, Wade Patterson and Ulf Lonergan.
Well, hi there, and welcome to Show Me the Crypto. My name's Wade Patterson.
And I'm Ulf Lonergan.
We're a couple of friends from Canada who love learning about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, and we're happy you're along for the ride. Whether you're a crypto virgin or you know your way around the block, we hope our interviews with some of the most intelligent and influential people in the space help deliver you with value. And on this episode, we're joined by Layah Heilpern, journalist, crypto educator, and host of the Layah Heilpern Show. Since discovering blockchain technology in 2018, Layah has built a reputation as a respected journalist in the space, interviewing major names such as the Winklevoss twins and Raoul. Her favorite quote is, "Whether you believe you can or you can't, you are right." Layah, welcome to Show Me the Crypto.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Love the introduction. Very nice to hear such positive words. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
We're stoked to have you on. So I want to dive into the fact that you discovered crypto in 2018. How specifically did you land in the space, and what was your initial impression?
Okay, so what do you mean, how specifically did I land?
Like, was it job related? Did a friend tell you about crypto? What was the story behind it?
Understood. Okay, so I am a qualified journalist. That's kind of like the trade. Got the degree and all that fun stuff. And I was working as a journalist in London, and I wasn't getting the promotion that I wanted. I was so frustrated. I get really frustrated when I don't get what I want. And so I was looking around for jobs, and then I stumbled across a job in Malta. So very specific, because the job was to cover cryptocurrencies, cover blockchain technology. At the time, it was the world's very first television news crypto-related show. So yeah, it was absolutely specific. I was sort of thrown in it, and I knew nothing about it at the time.
And so from that point, like, that sounds like it was one opportunity, but how did that then transition at some point towards being able to invest your full-time energy into creating blockchain content?
Okay, so do you want the long version, the short version?
Let's do the long
This is
one.
a long-form show. Go for it.
Okay, cool. All right. So I was working in Malta for a company, and I stayed there for about 1 year. And it was full-time crypto and blockchain. The company was then declining, and I knew I needed to jump ship. So I was looking for a job, again, still in crypto, but I couldn't find one. And my goal always was to be a correspondent on television, to do the news, to do the politics, maybe even to be in the middle of like a war zone and be a war correspondent. I just love the adrenaline and the drama. Lucky enough, the dream came true, and I moved to Paris, and I worked for CGTN, which is China's global television network. And I was the European correspondent for all of Asia, Africa, America, and you know the drill. So I stayed there, and a long story short, I was only there for about 2 months, and I hated it. And they knew I hated it. I got on with my colleagues. They were great people, but they didn't like me in the position, and I didn't like myself in the position. It was far too serious. I remember I was doing a story about the migrant crisis in northern Paris, and I was stood there with all the tents behind me. And I kid you not, I couldn't help but have like a gentle smile on my face. And I was told off, and I'm like, I'm not smiling at the situation. I know it's terrible, but like, it's just my personality. And so we just decided to part ways. Again, fantastic company, great people, brilliant journalists, but it wasn't a match made in heaven. And so I came back home and back to the UK where I'm from. And I kind of just thought I needed to regroup. And then the CEO of Altcoin Buzz reached out to me, called Shash. And he kind of pulled me back into the space. I was working on some documentaries about like the mind-body connection and spirituality, because I love all that stuff. But COVID hit, so that was on pause. And then he literally dragged me back into the space. And I'm so grateful that he did, because I love it so much. It suits me. I'm really, really political. I don't know if you know, you might get that from my tweets. So I found that like my political leanings and my political ideologies were very much in line with Bitcoin. So that helped me understand Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin helped me understand economics. And everything kind of just fell into place. And it's so wonderful because I get to be me entirely. Even like right now, I can speak in the most authentic way possible. I can just be me. I don't have to be the news reporter, and it's just not very authentic. It's not very nice. I don't really like to speak in such a harsh manner. I like to just speak in a much lighter way. And from that job, everything kind of snowballed. And TikTok came about, so I started posting content there. There was lockdown, so I had more time just to post content, and posting content led to a snowball effect, basically.
And when was it that you had that opportunity with altcoin buzz? Was that 2019, 2020?
No, so that was March 2020. Because I in 2018 I was in Malta at the first crypto job, and that lasted a year. So that took me to 2019. And then I went to Paris for a few months. And then it took me to the end of 2020. No, it didn't. It took me to the end of 19, beginning of 2020. And then from 2020, I went back into crypto. And I'm so blessed and I love it so much. I could truly do nothing else, put it that way.
One of the things you touched on there was spirituality, and just like you posted a video recently about the importance of manifesting your thoughts and writing things down. And for the benefit of our audience who maybe didn't have a chance to catch that, can you just talk about like your experience writing down things you wanted to achieve and what happened there?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for bringing that up. It was quite an emotional video. I kid you not, I did cry before the video. What happened was basically, like I said, I'm a very passionate person, and I really want to live a beautiful life. Beautiful from my perspective. It's different for everyone. I want to live a life that I perceive to be beautiful. And to get there, I get very frustrated when I don't get that, basically. And I'm all about hard work. And if I put in the work and I still don't get the results, I get so frustrated. And so, like I said, I left the job in Paris, and the Paris job was the dream job. And I'm very grateful that I found out at such a young age that is not actually what I wanted. So I'm pleased that I didn't waste my entire 20s trying to get something which, when I'm, let's say, 30, I get and I don't want. Then I have to regroup. So I regrouped at a young age, which was amazing. But I didn't know where I wanted to be, basically. All I knew is that I wanted certain things to work from anywhere in the world. I wanted to be respected in what I do. I wanted to be skilled at what I did. I wanted people to see that I was skilled. And I wanted to love it, basically. And I also wanted to make X amount of money. And I wrote down how much I wanted to make. So I didn't make a book. I bought a book. And on the left side of the book, I wrote my gratitude, because I think it's really important that whether you're religious or not, whatever it is, if you ask for something and you want something, you always sort of have to say thank you first, Like we do in emails. Like if you want to, like, for example, say you guys asked me to come on your show, first you would start off with, we're a big fan, or we like you, great content. You start off with like a compliment, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I did. So I wanted to compliment the universe. And I wasn't really happy at this time, if I'm honest. I wasn't at all. I was very just frustrated. And so I wrote things that I was grateful for. And I'm talking the most simplistic things, like I went out for a run with my brother. And that actually is really beautiful. Some people can't do that. So I was really, really grateful. And I wrote down, dinner was wonderful, or like had a great conversation with this person, and just every little thing. And then on the other side, I wrote my visions, and I wrote it as if I already had it. So I wrote, I make X amount a month. I am highly skilled at my job. I am blah, 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 blah. So I wrote it as if I already had it, and I was greedy. Okay, and the reason I was greedy about it was because I'm very into manifestations and visualizing your goals, and I kind of realized to think that you have to put a cap on what you want is kind of like an unhealthy and counterintuitive mentality, especially if you're trying to manifest something. Why are you starting off with your manifestations already thinking there's a cap as to how much you could have? That already is going to like put a spanner in the works, and it's going to hinder the magic of the universe, right? So I was like, well, hang on. If I truly believe in manifestation, if I truly believe that I can have everything that I want, then I need to truly believe in it. And I was like, yeah, F it. I do make that much money. I do this. I can work anywhere in the world. And I wrote a whole thing, and I laughed at myself when I was writing it. Anyway, long story short, I did this every single day. So I did this every day, and some days I didn't want to do it, but I did it. And it was also really healthy because it helps you feel like you're doing something towards your goals. So sometimes, if your days were kind of unproductive, it helps you feel like, well, okay, at least I'm really clarifying what I want to do. So I did that. And long story short, 1 year later, at least 90% of what I'd written down had come true. Especially the stuff that I was really, really passionate about. But here's where it gets weird, because I don't think this bit came across in the video very well. So I stopped writing on the 29th of April. That frustration for my career, which is really what the book was about, to be honest. My frustration about my career had obviously subsided. So I stopped writing. And now my career is where I want it to be, and I'm still pushing like 110% to keep it going and do even better. But there are other things in my life now that I really desire, and I'm frustrated again that I don't have them. So, like I said, I stopped writing on the 29th of April, 2020. I reopened the book on the 3rd of May, 2021. So there was basically a year. It was like, come on, that is not coincidence. There was literally a year between stopping and starting again. And it just bloody hit me. Like, I read what I wrote, and I was like, oh, baby, Layah, honey, like you will, like, if I could tell myself a year ago, like I knew how upset I was. I knew how frustrated I was. And if I could like tell myself a year ago, like, honey, you're going to get there in just a few months. Like, don't be so sad. That's what hit me about it.
So I have two questions off that. So first off, is that your mentality now with some of the things that maybe aren't where you want them to be at? Is it like, all right, back to that book, start a new fresh page and start writing those things down? And the second part is, did that come from a specific, because it sounds like I've read the book Think and Grow Rich, and some of that, like, was that where it came from, or a different book, or where did you come up with that idea?
What was your first question?
So the first question was, is that what you're doing now? Are you going to repeat the process? Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm doing now. So except I didn't write last night because I was so flipping tired. But I'll write today. But yeah, that is the goal. That is the goal. And yes, I've also read Think Rich and Grow Rich, or Think Big and Grow Rich, Napoleon, but I listened to the audio version. And it's not where it came from, actually, because I've already been in this kind of mentality for a really long time. But listening to that was helpful because it kind of reintroduced, and maybe, what's the word? It kind of solidified the idea of manifestation, right? You can never listen to too many self-help. That's really what it is, you know. You can never listen to too many self-help kind of books and content and stuff like that.
I actually did some similar type of journaling for a while. And I fell off the bandwagon eventually myself, but it was working out great for the time that I did it. And I'm just curious if we were doing it the same way, because it sounds quite similar. I would also write gratitude. And gratitude, the nice thing about it is it's kind of changing. You can come up with something new to be grateful for on any given day at any given moment. However, more for those like vision type things that you're writing in the present, you know, I am this, I have this. The way I was doing it was I was writing the same list basically every day. I'm just curious, were you writing the same things every day to like those affirmations to reaffirm that, or were they ever changing?
So I wrote it according to what my heart desired. So I didn't write it with a plan that I was going to write the same thing every day to make sure it really happened. It was more like my heart was desiring something so much that I couldn't help it. Like, it was just oozing out of me. It was just like I had to write it every day. And it did end up being the same thing every day. Maybe one day I'd focus more on my career. Other days I'd focus maybe more on like my living situation. But very much it was just the same thing with my career every single day, what I really wanted.
Awesome. Well, moving on, you somewhat recently moved to Israel. What prompted that move, and how's it been so far?
It's been an absolute nightmare. What prompted the move? Well, okay. I really like the sun. I like the sun, and I like Israel. It's a nice country. I'm Jewish, which means that growing up, I've spent a lot of time here. My parents would take us here when we were kids, my brothers and I. So I do feel like I have a spiritual connection. I also feel like I have a spiritual pull to the country. It's all BS, by the way. It's just indoctrination since being a kid. But like, I felt I needed just to try it. I needed to go. I felt, look, I'm in my 20s. Like, if I don't give this one a go, then I never will. And it's been really, really difficult. Mainly because I don't think it's the door that I was supposed to open. So getting here initially, all the paperwork was so impossible. I can't even tell you. I've moved countries twice, by the way, right? So this was something out of the ordinary. And as I am Jewish, it's called the right to return. So I have a right to come back to this country. Like, legally, I'm allowed here. It's just whereas other countries legally I may not be allowed, but legally I am allowed here to live and get citizenship. But yet it was still a bloody nightmare. So that was that. But I signed an apartment for a year. And the estate agent told me that there was construction around. And I thought, that's fine. I had construction around me in Malta. It's fine. But when I get there, I was woken up at 7 a.m. to the most obnoxious drilling on my bedroom. It was so loud, and it started at 7 and it ended at around 5, 6. It was impossible. I couldn't think, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't do anything. I ended up not eating or sleeping for 48 hours because also I had to isolate for 10 days. So I couldn't go out and get any food. Then I didn't know if I was going to stay in the apartment or not. So I never unpacked. So then I didn't have any, it was totally unfurnished. So I didn't have any crockery.
That sounds terrible.
It was terrible. The washing machine started leaking. It was a bloody nightmare. So I ran out of there as soon as I could, and I lost a lot of money. I lost my deposit. I lost the real estate, estate agent, brokerage. Every country calls it different, but you know what I mean. I lost that fee. I lost April's rent. Altogether, it came to over $6,000 US that I lost. So then I went to an Airbnb, and that was also not what it showed. So I lost money there. And then it gets worse. I then lost money on that Airbnb. Then I went to another place. My parents were like, Layah, just check yourself in there. It's nice. Just sit there and sort your life out for about 2 weeks. I was like, right, okay. So I go, and they had a really cute room. Everything was really nice. And the owner says to me, I'll come take your money later tonight. Just chill out. It's fine. This is 4 o'clock. At 10 p.m., he comes and gets me, and he's like, you can't stay here. My wife wants your room.
Oh my God.
Like,
wow.
Are you bloody joking? It's 10 p.m. and I have 5 suitcases. And like I said, I'm Jewish. So my mother didn't pack light for me. She put me tables and shelving and plant pots in the freaking cases. Okay. This is an Italian mother. If you know Italian moms, they're it's the same thing. So I got my bloody life with me. And it was a joke, honestly. And my entire life. And they kicked me out at 10 p.m. and I had nowhere to stay.
That is
I was
crazy.
bloody homeless. Yeah. Until one nice guy I won't get there, but one nice guy who was an employee at this apartment, he said, I live with my mom. We have a spare room. You can come stay with us the night. So I did. And it was very nice. I put a picture up on Twitter of this guy, and we found me a place to stay for the next 2 weeks, where I've been for the last month. And that's Israel for you.
Oh my goodness. What a roller coaster. And yeah, it doesn't sound like the dream vacation or anything like that. But
it literally wasn't.
Yeah. Let's jump into crypto, Layah. And
let's do it.
and you come into the space, or you become aware of it in 2018. I guess, just what do you make over the last several months? Because we're undeniably in this bull run right now. But what are your thoughts of everything that took place? Like, I'm guessing coming in 2018, you had just heard about this bull run that had previously happened, and then you survived the long winter. Is it reaching your expectations, exceeding them? What are your thoughts?
Do you know what? Definitely exceeding it, because like you said, I came in during the bear market and everybody was talking about the 20K that had just happened and thinking about that parabolic move. We saw it go. And I'm like, where was I? And, to be able to see it break 20K back in, what was it, November or December last year, and then being able just to see it go and go and go, it's truly unbelievable. What do I make of it? Look, like, I'm very aware of what happened in 2017. And I would definitely say that 2017 to the 2020, 2021 bull market is completely different. We're seeing insane amounts of institutional interest, and this bull market is very much driven by institutions, as opposed to 2017, which was very much retail investors. I think that Bitcoin itself is going to change entirely its narrative. You see, with Doge coming along, now I do think Doge is a shitcoin, so I'll make that clear, and I'm not promoting it or shilling it. But you have to understand that people outside of the space, they look at Bitcoin and they say, it's a bit too expensive. Now, it doesn't matter if you can make some money on it, or you can buy, $5 worth. It really doesn't matter to people outside of the space, because you can't make gains. And people outside of the space don't understand the problem with our traditional fiat system, from money printing to inflation, right? They don't understand that. Now, if they understood inflation, they would really value Bitcoin, just because it's hard money, it has a limited supply. And so it doesn't really matter whether you're going to make life-changing gains anymore when it comes to Bitcoin. Fact is, put $5 in, and that $5 will not just hold in value, but also appreciate. Now, it doesn't matter if it's going to become 5 million. It really doesn't, because we understand inflation, and we understand that money is going to hold. But they don't get that, because nothing's changed with financial education. The only thing that's changed is we now have more funny meme coins. And so I think Bitcoin is going to become something like gold, whereby your average Joe doesn't really hold gold for investment purposes. They just don't. If I'm honest, my parents don't hold gold. Sorry, they don't hold gold. It's just not what they do. They're not major investors. I think Dad has like a pension fund and some secure investments somewhere that his financial advisor gave him, but they never told him to buy gold. And so Bitcoin will be like that. Your average person isn't really going to buy it because they don't really understand finance. But I think in terms of mass adoption, we will see mass adoption with shitcoins. Because people don't, like I said, they don't understand like monetary policy, and they don't understand the problems with the fiat system. At least with these digital currencies, they feel like, number one, they can make money. So like, F the system, right? F being a millennial, Xennial, whatever they're called these days. We can send money cross borders. It's super quick. So the younger generation are getting what they want, really. They're making quick money and they're sending money cross borders. Everything's efficient and it's done. They don't understand the technology. They don't understand the problem with the traditional system. Only when they understand it will they choose Bitcoin.
Ulf, do you realize that our audience has either been watching or listening to this episode for 20 minutes?
20 minutes? They should probably subscribe.
Yeah, they should subscribe, and they should like and comment and hit that notifications bell.
Oh, and did you tell them about the NFTs?
That's right. We have our own NFT for our OG supporters. This is a way you can support our show, help us bring you continual great content. Information on that is below.
One of the things you just kind of touched on is like the adoption of Bitcoin for your average person who just maybe works with a financial advisor. And it's a interesting point to make, where financial advisors, today, they don't recommend gold. Perhaps they are buying some gold stocks or something along those lines for the clients that they work with. But what's interesting to me, because I've seen this firsthand in real life, is friends or family who work with financial advisors and they've got some investments with them. And because of the introduction from myself or, you know, somebody else watching the news, and they've been hearing about Bitcoin and they do want to dip their toes. I've seen people who take the investments they have currently through a financial advisor, and they take some or all of it and pull it out, and then, you know, through friends or family or whoever can help them, find a way to invest that in Bitcoin. And it's interesting to me when you look at it through that lens from the financial advisor. They're losing business. They're losing customers who were investing with them. And because they didn't support this new form of money, this new way to invest, you know, they're losing business. So I wonder, to your point, if and when the financial advisory industry catches up and starts supporting that, if you know, maybe that will make that shift so that the greater population will start having investments in some form of crypto, because the financial advisors who they work with found a way to support them in making that happen. Do you think that change might ever come about?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're already seeing, you know, people like Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan and other major banks, you know, offering their clients exposure to Bitcoin. So that means that the traditional financial world is taking Bitcoin seriously as a serious investment. I think it was the S&P Dow Jones indices actually just put I think it was Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then a combination of the two. They added that they added those indexes. So what it, you know, and that's providing those on Wall Street with that kind of data about digital currency. So I think it's inevitable, given the amount of institutional interest that it's getting. Those financial advisors, like anything in the world, you know, that don't adopt and don't innovate and don't learn and understand will, like you said, I totally agree with you, will be out of a job. You know, I'm trying to get my dad to invest in Bitcoin, but he can't because his money's wrapped up in many different funds and this and that, and he'll get penalized if he takes it out. And so if those funds or whatever or those companies that he has those funds with, if they started, you know, having things like Bitcoin ETFs or whatever, then he could move his money, but still have exposure, but still be with those companies, and then therefore hopefully not be penalized. And I think that companies that don't do that will get left behind, especially as, unfortunately, older generations die off and the younger generation continues to adopt these things. You know, and financial advisors, as new financial advisors come on the market, you know, in their 20s, 30s, as decades go by, they're going to be talking about Bitcoin. You know, here's an example. I've gone through three accountants in the last 6 months since this damn bull run started, honestly, because the first accountant didn't understand anything about crypto. And it was really frustrating for me because I didn't really have time to like learn about, like take a journey with him. If he didn't understand crypto, I couldn't have him as my accountant. What am I going to do? Like, I get paid in Bitcoin. So how do we deal with this? Like, how are we doing taxes, you know? And it's really hard. And so I had to say goodbye to him because he just didn't understand crypto. So that's a perfect example. Whether another accountant, because he also wasn't fully down with it. And then I actually reached out to, I'm not going to say who, but I reached out to a British influencer in the space. And I was like, bro, who's your accountant? Help a girl out. So he gave me his accountant, and she's amazing. Nice. And yeah, and she's young. She looks like she's in her 20s, but she must be in her 30s. And so there you go. That's not innovating, means you get left behind and you lose business. Mm-hmm.
Another area you mentioned was shitcoins, and you mentioned Dogecoin, and you've called Dogecoin the Kim Kardashian of crypto. What do you mean by that?
What did you think to that? Well, hang on. What did you think to that video and that tweet?
That was fantastic. I love the comparison.
I actually, like, in my opinion, as far as just that statement alone, that Doge is the Kim Kardashian, I think it's so true. Like, I think that that's actually such a great analogy. The way that I would interpret that is just that, you know, it's a popularity that is, you know, it's meme worthy, it's watchable. It's interesting to follow because there's not really anything there except for that it's funny and engaging and entertaining, and the community behind it's fun. And you compare that all to someone like Kim Kardashian, and she's fun to watch. Her family's interesting. The things she does and the people that follow her provide good entertainment. And in those ways, there's lots of crossover for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so this is like the train of thought with it. Okay, so I'm looking at Doge, and from what I've understood on social media is very much that money goes where the attention flows, okay? Or attention goes where the money flows, whatever it is, okay? So where there is attention, there is money. And what I've learned is that it doesn't matter whether there's quality, okay? So you can tweet something and it can be really academic and very to the point and very brilliant. Nobody gives a F-U-C-K, okay? Nobody cares.
You can say fuck. You can say fuck.
Oh, I can say fuck. Okay, great. Yeah. So nobody gives a damn fuck, and that's just how it is. Now we can't be upset by that because everything is just business. You can't be emotional about these things. You have to just understand how things work, and then you adapt and you jump on board. Why is shit posting so good? Shit posting isn't just funny, but like it's actually effective. Because nobody cares. Nobody has time to read all these sorts of things. Like nobody cares, okay? And okay, you could say it's sad, but it doesn't matter. We can either like cry about it or we can monetize on it, and that's how it works. And TikTok is an app which allows you to do 60-second quick content, but even that is too long. Really, people just want between 15 and 20 seconds, and that's sad because it means people's attention spans are getting shorter. Or it means that you can create really quick content and now your work day is shorter, or you could do more work because you have less work and, monetize it better. So that is the situation. And this has actually been going on a very, very long time, because if you look at reality TV, it's just trash. We have something in the UK called Love Island, where you just have young people who have sexy bodies just going on a reality show and just seeing who can basically hook up the fastest. And that's just it. And then once they come off the show, they're famous. They have all these millions of followers, and that's it. Then suddenly they're famous and they have money. And that is how things work these days. And again, it's okay. It's not a big deal. It's fine. And now here's the key point. You have to be smart though, okay? So you can't be dumb and do this. If you're dumb, you can become successful overnight, but then the same night, you then go down and you're no longer successful, okay? So this is the same with being a hot person, a hot girl in the space. Let me tell you. People say, oh yeah, you can be a hot girl and it's easy to blow up. Yeah, you can blow up, but then tomorrow you're irrelevant because there's other hot girls. And there's also other hot men and nobody really cares. So funny things have overnight exposure, make a lot of money. But if there's no intelligence behind it, it then goes down, okay? But the Kardashians are very, very, very intelligent. They know exactly what they're doing. It's the mother, it's Kris, right? Before they were all born, she already had the branding down. They all have the same freaking first letter of their name. K. It's not a C, it's all a K. That is branding. And the mother is so smart. She did that like 30 years before they blew up. That is 30 years of planning, right? And it's the same with Doge. Doge it's funny, it's a shit coin. Has an unlimited supply. It's not very good, given why Bitcoin was created in the first place and why we're all here. So it's funny. Now we have to see whether it'll just continue to go up and then go back down, or can we really find a use case for it? And there's a real opportunity to, and that's kind of what we're seeing now, because I think people are tipping on Reddit with it. I think I saw Major League Baseball. I don't really know what Major League Baseball is as a British person, as a female, I have no idea, but they're offering the tickets. They're offering tickets to the game and people can pay in Doge. I think Mavericks or something like that. Again, I don't really know what that is. It's like baseball
NBA team. Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know much about NBA. So NBA team are offering to buy merch with Doge. So now we're slowly starting to see a use case for it. Whether this will last, I don't know. But the key point is, look, if being funny, being attractive, doing something is very helpful because it can get you in the spotlight. But then you need to be intelligent to stay in the spotlight. And that is what the Kardashians did. That's what could be done with Doge. It depends. I hope that explains that.
Yeah, I thought it did a great job explaining it. And It's an interesting parallel to, so when I think about your content, right? So there's a lot of people, or more at least than there was in 2017, who are now putting out information, ourselves included, about crypto and trying to educate people and that kind of thing. But there's a group of people who their sole kind of purpose is to talk about like pump coins and that kind of thing. And you maybe see that a little bit more on TikTok. But yourself, I mean, your content is educating. You're talking about major news announcements with JP Morgan and different things like this, what's actually happening in the industry. The question is, what are your thoughts on those people who are talking about just coins and like the ethics about it of like, hey guys, this coin's going to go up to here and that kind of thing. And even you yourself in your content, do you feel a responsibility or a certain ethics level when you're talking about a project to kind of stay arm's length?
Oh God, yeah, it's really difficult. So you can imagine I get approached by so many different new DeFi projects a day, and it is so hard to determine what's good and what's not good, and what's a shitcoin and what's not a shitcoin. And honestly, I just stay away from it because I don't want to get involved in it. And I very much believe in longevity, and you can take money quickly and become very rich very quickly, but then you lose credibility. And I don't want to be a joke account. I don't want to be a joke. There are some accounts who are just giveaway accounts. That's fine. I just don't want to be that. There are some accounts which are just pump accounts, like you said. I don't really want to be that. I try really, really hard to stay focused on my brand and like my goal. I do feel an ethical responsibility. I think what's a shame is that Bitcoin maximalists try to shame many people, myself included, for talking about other coins. But I think what's important to know is, you can say wow at the price and at the price appreciation of something. Doesn't mean you're shilling it or promoting it. Like half the coins I say wow about, because bloody hell, if they're up like over 100% in 24 hours, I'm like, damn, that's pretty insane. But like, it doesn't mean I own it. And I think that kind of bothers me a bit because I am very conscious about who I work with and what I do. And I do stay away from like the pump and dumps and the pre-sales and all because damn, there are so many pre-sales. And they can dump on the market basically. And I really do try and stay away from that. And with all the money that I genuinely do turn down, I'm like, I hate when I then get like called like a shill or something like that. Cause I'm like, no, not at all. Apparently like apparently it's been said that I shill Link. Like I don't. Link is a great coin. I don't shill it at all. When it was going parabolic, like back in, I don't know, September I was like, wow, that's insane, because it was. And apparently that's not okay. But who cares? I think at the end of the day, most people are normal and level-headed. And they know whether you're a good account or a bad account. It's very, I think, easy to determine that. And I certainly feel a level of responsibility. And I would never, ever, ever say buy this if I didn't own it or if I didn't believe in it, ever. The only thing I've ever told people to buy is Bitcoin. And even then, that took me time to get out of my mouth because I felt like, especially like coming from a journalism background, I definitely felt it was not immoral. It was like from a journalistic perspective, it was unethical to tell people to buy Bitcoin. But then I was like, fuck it. Like I own Bitcoin and I love Bitcoin. So like buy it. So yeah.
What is one of the most common questions or like things that people don't understand about crypto? Because I would imagine you're putting out this content probably to a lot of people who aren't that familiar with it. So what is something that people coming into the space don't fully understand?
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe it's like the decentralization, because that's kind of so much more than you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin or like, yeah, it's digital. Like decentralization is an entire mentality. And I don't think that is put forward when we educate people about crypto, the importance of decentralization, which is why I think the Robinhood scandal was beautiful. It was so, so beautiful. I loved it so much. Just to go on a tangent, one girl had posted on Twitter, like, this is just a man's thing. And then I was like, dude, no, this is so good. I love it. Like she was saying all the boys are loving this. And I was like, nah, girl over here, love it. You know, and I think Robinhood just was the perfect example of why decentralization matters. And it showed that to an entire generation, because what are they trading on Robinhood? Stocks. So really conveyed that. So I would say decentralization seems to be the biggest thing. And if you want to get into like the technical things, I mean, they don't really understand like wallets. And, you know, if you said a wallet and, you know, I'm thinking like addresses and things like that. But decentralization, in my opinion, is the one thing which people miss when they just join the space, because they think it's quick gains, basically.
So Layah, one of the things that I think everyone wants to know is, when are you going to interview Elon?
I will interview him. I don't know when. I have no idea. And it doesn't matter. But I will. That's all that matters. And I want to talk to him about his simulation theory, because I don't know how I feel about it. So I want to have a good chat with him about that.
But speaking about the interviews that you have done, because there's been a ton of interesting people you've interviewed. I know for Alf and I, every conversation we have, we like come out of it stoked, like, oh shit, like we just learned something about like whatever space the person was talking about. What are some of the top things that you've learned from interviewing people?
Oh, well, firstly, thanks for watching. That means a lot. Okay. I interview so many different people. Can you
like crypto specific? Sorry, I didn't say that, because I know like the whole journalism side previously and everything, but like specifically like take maybe one of the bigger name, like the Winklevoss twins. Like what did you learn from that conversation, or Raoul Paul or something like that?
Yeah. Okay. So like crypto aside, just for a second, what did I learn about the Winklevoss twins? Oh my God. So that interview, they're amazing. And I'm so happy that I interviewed them, and they were so kind to come on my show. I was really stressed about that one, actually. And the reason why I was because the Winklevoss twins have a poker face at all times. Their face is constantly like this. So if anyone's listening, I'm pulling just a straight face. Yeah. And so I couldn't gauge whether they were enjoying themselves talking to me. And it was really stressing me out. And I was thinking, should I wrap this up? But then like one of the brothers would be speaking. The other one looked like he wasn't listening. And so I thought, okay, well, that one's not interested. But then he'd pop out of nowhere and offer like this like 10-minute, spiel. And I was like, okay, well, maybe he is interested. And as a female, we tend to communicate through body language and reading body language and reading somebody's face. And for the life of me, I was getting so stressed. I couldn't read their faces. And I really thought they wanted to wrap up. And then they didn't. And then we did an AMA at the end, which was amazing. But I got so stressed about like not being sure if they wanted to continue, because I really respected them and was really honored and that they'd come on my show. So I didn't want to keep them too long and whatever. And so when it kind of ended, I kind of just ended it really awkwardly and abruptly. I was just like, okay, thank you, bye.
Okay, bye.
No, literally, because I was just like, I think they want to go, but my brother is my biggest critic, and he watched it and he was like, Layah, you ended it terribly. You should have thanked them more. And I was like, I know, but I just thought they wanted to leave. Anyway, that was the Winklevoss twins. But in terms of crypto and interviewing people, it's really great because I really get to learn a lot. For example, I spoke to Ari Paul and I learned so much about Bitcoin energy consumption, which was so important because it's such a hot topic. Didn't really understand it. He kind of just broke it down for me, not fully, but in a way which kind of gave me the foundations. And then I was then able to do my further research. Like he kind of just put it to me that, Bitcoin energy consumption isn't that big of a deal because, mining is geographically independent. And I was like, I didn't know that. Like I didn't know that mining Bitcoin was geographically independent, which means that, Bitcoiners miners can then sort out the cheapest form of energy. And then it just clicked, and, it's really good to speak to people because you get to articulate your ideas better and understand different things better. And also you get to have a reason to connect with people. So I interviewed Anthony Scaramucci. That was really cool because he literally worked for Trump, albeit for 11 days, but and what other reason would I have to connect with him? I wouldn't. Yeah. So having these interviews really gives you that opportunity. The Scaramucci interview was cool, actually. I really respected him because something had come up on his schedule. So we were supposed to chat for an hour, but something had come up. And it meant that he could only talk for 30 minutes, and he didn't cancel. And I really appreciated that, especially because it's a live show. And I have sponsors that are waiting on me and want me to make sure that I produce a show. And somebody of his caliber and his status didn't cancel, and I was so impressed. So if anybody cancels, I'm always like, bro, like Scaramucci didn't cancel, you have no excuse. But yeah, that was really interesting. I think like with these podcasts, it really depends who you have on, because sometimes people can be quite robotic with you. And then other times people can be really human with you. Like I interviewed Maren Altman the other day. Maren is the lady that trades the markets based on astrology. So she'll be like, wow, Jupiter is intersecting with Venus's moon, and I'm like, bitch, I don't know what you're saying. But she's like, then she'll go, that means cute shit. This means that it's bullish. So I'm like, oh, okay, great. So I interviewed her, and she was really human. And it was just really great to be able to, again, like connect with somebody for a reason and for a purpose. So yeah, I absolutely love doing it.
With regard to TikTok, you talked about that earlier, and I think that sometimes it's one of these platforms people roll their eyes at. And, for us, when we kind of we're agnostic about it. We launched on a bunch of different social media platforms, and we're like, we'll post similar-ish content everywhere and just kind of see like how things go. TikTok's like our biggest audience, which like we did not expect coming into it. But what do you make of the TikTok audience? I mean, do you think it's the majority is just people who are looking for like the next quick gains coin, or is there genuinely like a group there that wants to learn about crypto?
Oh, so really good question. So the TikTok audience is a really interesting one. I would say the majority of them is what you first said, is a group of people that want to make quick gains. And then the other half, I wouldn't even call it a half. I'd say there's a small, I don't think there's a real, I've got to be careful what I say. I just think there's a small group of people that genuinely want to learn. And I know that by the responses that I get. Like, for example, I did a video, Elon Musk company, Tesla, puts 1.5 billion into Bitcoin. Somebody comments like, you liar, you're lying. Why are you trying to scam people? So like the responses that I get on TikTok are quite unbelievable. I get the most ridiculous responses. And somebody else, and I've heard this from other people that are on TikTok, to the point where I don't really read the comments anymore on there because it's too difficult to go through. The comments are just so insane. So I do think there is a large majority that just want the next pump and dump. I'm the last person to say this, but don't like the fact that there's a woman, talking crypto. I get that. I get comments like that a lot on TikTok. Don't really care. Don't think it's a representation of anything. It's not a big deal. It's just TikTok. And yeah, and then I get a lot of people saying that, like, some people says, you just post news. Why don't you tell us your opinion? And I'm like, because like that's what I do. Like I give you news. Like I really rarely, that's okay. I really rarely give my opinion because I don't shill things. So, and then I did give my opinion actually the other day on one thing on Doge, and I said just very briefly what I'd said to you guys: money goes where the attention flows. Well, yeah, I can't remember the quote anymore. And I said it's still a shit coin, but blah blah blah. And someone was like, "Who asked for your opinion anyway?" And like. So you can't win on that. It's a tough crowd, put it that way. It's a tough crowd, but it's okay. And it absolutely does not matter. And, you just got to focus on putting out content every single day, and doing what you got to do for you and your career and your business. And that's all that matters.
I think you're so correct in that it doesn't matter, especially of all places on TikTok. Like, for example, on Twitter, at least on Twitter, I don't know, people speak genuinely, it seems like, whereas on TikTok, it's just, and I think it honestly is a lot of it's just the audience. It's the people who have that app. I mean, when Wade asked the question, he said, it's what a lot of people roll their eyes at TikTok, and it's because they figure out TikTok's just for kids. Well, that's that's partially true. I mean, I may not know all the stats, but if I were guessing, I'd say the majority of people on TikTok are, in their teens. And so when teenagers are watching crypto videos, yeah, they're not thinking beyond this. Is this a shill or not? And they are very opinionated. They feel, who cares? I'm anonymous on this platform anyways. And so, yeah, they'll just throw insults or banter or whatever. And I find it's rarely meaningful. And then most people on that platform, I also feel, aren't there for education. Now, there are some, and there is some great educational content on TikTok, but it's few and far between. I mean, most of it's dancing and, little comedy skits and whatever. So when someone finally sees something that's newsworthy or educational, 90% of that audience is probably not going to care,
Yeah, and you have to understand what TikTok is, okay? So TikTok is the first app in a very long time, which has given people a voice. So it's given creators a voice. I can get 40,000 views a day. That's on a video. It's quite insane if you think about it. I can sometimes only get 100 views on a video on Instagram, and getting 40,000 plus views on a video on Twitter is viral, right? Whereas you can do this daily. So not only is it giving creators a voice, but it's also giving the audience a voice, because it's the same thing as you see on YouTube. So people can literally become famous from the comments. So if you can write the dumbest, most stupid comment, then your comment can blow up and suddenly you will get a bunch of followers and then you become more famous. And so it's really just a platform of voices. And it's just giving absolute idiots a speakerphone, basically. And that's completely fine, because with that, it means that people like ourselves also get a voice. And at the end of the day, I believe everybody should have a voice if we're going to get philosophical with this or political with this. And the most eloquent and truthful and educated voices will always rise to the top. Like anything with free speech, if we allow everybody to speak their minds, no matter how evil it may be, the truth, and hopefully if we live in a moral society, or humans are inherently moral, potentially, then good will rise to the top.
Before we kind of get to the last section of our interview, I want to talk a bit about NFTs. And you minted your own NFT. I think it was a partnership mint, but it was cool because 80% went to charity, which was awesome. But I guess let's start with that. What was the process of minting your own? Was it a good experience? And then also, I guess, tagged on to that, what do you make of NFTs in general as kind of a gateway drug for many into the space?
Yeah, so I did mint an NFT. It was fun. I think you have to try everything out, whether it be a different social media platform, whether it be DeFi or, yield farming, liquidity pooling, or whatever the hell these things are called these days. You have to try everything, right? And it was good. It was fun. I did it with VITD Data Link. They're a really great company. I really, really enjoy working with them. So yeah, that was really, really fun. In terms of NFTs, I think that right now NFTs are a bubble. A lot of the NFTs that we're seeing at the moment being sold for crazy prices, I don't think that in 3-4 years' time, those NFTs will appreciate in value. Unfortunately, I think they'll depreciate because I think this is a bubble. In terms of NFTs themselves, I definitely see value in it. I think everything is going digital anyway. The way that we date is now digital, and that's gone beyond just dating apps. It's freaking social media apps. Eating is digital, whereby it's completely eliminated the human from the process now. There are no more waiters in a lot of places. It's all just done through an app, or you deliver a self-order or whatever it is. Shopping is digital. Everything is digital. So it only makes sense that art, ornaments, and actual physical things will go digital, especially if we believe blockchain technology is this immutable ledger that really can be transparent and authentic and hold records for decades and really forever. Then it makes sense that would happen. I like different designer handbags, and my brother's into watches, and I understand that the fakes are becoming even better. I mean, even if you look at like deep fakes, right? Like that's a digital version of of faking a product or whatever it is. And, that's becoming better. And so I do think that we do need to have something to verify these things. Whether we like it or not, it will become digital. I spoke to, I think, Peter McCormack, and he was like, we've had these things for ages. We don't need to have a digital version. Paper is just fine. And it's just like, well, even if it is, everything is still going digital though. So like, for example, like I said, my brother's really into watches, and he told me that if he buys a Rolex watch from, let's say, Dubai, for example, as opposed to buying it from another country, despite it being the exact same Rolex watch, it's worth a different price because of where he bought it. So supply chain matters. And so if we can then verify that on the blockchain, that makes so much more sense rather than verifying it by a piece of paper, which actually can be doctored, So, and even if it couldn't be doctored, it just makes sense that it will go digital, whether we like it or not, whether we believe we need it. Because I think, when I was talking to Peter McCormack about this, his kind of final argument was like, we don't need it. And I'm like, it doesn't matter because like we don't need social media apps, and now we have them, and now we bloody well need them.
Yeah.
In terms of like selfies and things like that, those kind of NFTs I feel more different about, because I definitely think that, if you just screenshot it, then you've got it on your phone. But it comes down to, like I say with beauty, value is in the eye of the beholder. So if somebody finds value in the fact that it is actually the original, then they'll pay for it. But for me, I can just screenshot it and now I have it. But I definitely see a use case for NFTs.
Yeah. Layah, this has been an awesome conversation. Just really enjoyed it. We like to end every episode of Show Me the Crypto with a 3-question segment called You Had Me at Crypto. So Alf's going to ask you those questions.
All right, Layah, who's your favorite person to follow in the crypto space?
Oh, that's so hard. Oh my God. I like Bitcoin Archive. Because he's got an account which is a bit like documenting Bitcoin, whereby like there's not really a personality there. It's just facts after facts after facts. But I think he's really funny because there actually is a very subtle personality there. And I find that really funny. So I do enjoy that. Nice.
What will the price of Bitcoin be 10 years from now?
$1 million.
It's a popular answer.
All right, question 3. What is the most underrated coin or project in crypto?
Oh, God. Such a good question. Okay. I'm not like a huge fan of the project, but I do think Chili's is quite an interesting one. And I think it's something that people don't talk about too much. But they have real world use case. They've partnered with the UFC and so many mainstream companies outside of the space. And so I think they're the ones really with a physical use case, and they're really pushing forward with mass adoption. And people don't really talk about them much. So yeah, I think Chili's is pretty cool.
Awesome. Layah, it's, like I said, been an awesome episode. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Show Me the Crypto.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great. And would love to do it again sometime.
Thank you for listening to Show Me the Crypto. Please make sure to subscribe as well as rate and review this podcast.